We have a couple of questions from
Yeah.
listeners in the chat. So Jimmy E asks, well, he says, Happy
Hi,
Tuesday.
Demi.
He asks, is there a possible connection that a manager became a manager because of the actionable efforts they did, which created a promotional path for them, and it could have missed the experience of coaching / mentoring people?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to hear Josh's thoughts on this. My opinion is yes. There's this great podcast called The Schmidt List, which is run by a friend of mine, Kurt Schmidt, in the Twin Cities. But he had this woman on who's the CEO of a consultancy called Keystone, named Jamie Tates, and she talks about how people, when they're climbing that corporate ladder, they're really looking for like, oh, what's my next step? What's my next step? And all of a sudden, one day they'll find themselves on the ladder and look down and be like, I didn't want to be here. How did I end up here? And I think that happens sometimes with folks who are really looking for promotions or really looking for, well, this is that thing I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be a people leader now. Well, some people don't want to, and I don't love the word should, but shouldn't manage people. They're not passionate about it. Maybe they want to be a principal architect or a principal engineer, but those career paths might not be available where they are working. Like Josh was saying earlier, there you're going to have to do many things if you're in a position of power. It's not just going to be about projects. It's going to be about people too. So it's about how can you start to strengthen those things. But I'd love to hear what Josh has to say.
I mean, I would just say, yeah, it's you have to get out of your comfort zone, I think, to really implement this psychological safety and be that kind of leader. But like for me, if I do one-on-ones, I dread all of the hard work of scheduling them. I really do. Scheduling is hard.
Mm-hmm.
But once I've done them, I feel great about the connections we've made and stuff like that, right? So it's believe it or not, I just think that I keep coming back to this, but the personal connections are so critical to building any of this psychological safety, especially in positions of power. If you can't share with each other about what's going on in your life, about your hopes and dreams, about, the challenges, and this comes a lot back to, of course, Amy Edmondson's point that there's this war between silence and voice. And people who don't feel comfortable are going to go towards silence because silence enables an immediate benefit. I'm not sticking my neck out. I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm just going along with the flow, even though I don't agree with things potentially. Silence is it's safety in some sense, but it's faux safety because it doesn't really lead to greatness. So, I basically, I think I'm not sure if I'm answering Jimmy's question, but I'm just trying to say that it's basically, it's a lot of work to do this, but very beneficial. And I think that, the people below you will really appreciate you if you put in the work.
Right. Well, I love those points. I don't think it's possible to miss it completely. Like to Josh's point, like, yeah, some of the work is exhausting. And let me tell you, at the end of the year, when I used to have to do 16 reviews, it's a lot in the 2 weeks leading up to the holidays. And while I love writing, so I'd love writing stuff out and I love engaging with people, I really love what I do and loved what I did there. It's so much work. It's a lot of work. And so I think that there has to be moments where you have to figure out a cadence for yourself in those positions of power where it's like, you don't have to do it all at once, like kind of take things in stride. But in Jimmy's comment about, I don't think that you ever can miss the experience of coaching or mentoring people. I think you have to be open and willing to the experience and make it a priority. So if you're on a team of managers or you're on a team of directors, do you talk about how you show up for your people? Do you talk about the cost of turnover when people are leaving? And do you know the reasons why they leave? These are important conversations we need to start having.